Hello, hello, hello. What ho? Welcome to the very first live Radio Free Anarchy. I'm your host, Travel Mateus. I've just been chilling out this afternoon after work and started thinking about different stuff and thought, oh man, I would love to riff on that. And by the time I get over here and remember what I was doing, I'm like, do I really want to do this? Do I want to go live? And I've just been thinking about, all of the channels that I've made and all of the things that I've attempted to do to produce. The reason why I've got the camera this way is because the light right there, if I have it up, it's just like, I don't know. Anyway, it bothers me because I can see it and then my eyes go to it. But, creating a podcast is like either, I mean, like I've got to be in the middle somewhere, right? Because I'm not successful and I'm not a novice. Like I've been making video content on YouTube for over 8 years. And I like editing, I like video editing and editing with audio, and I just like the entire process, the creative aspect of that medium. But I was having a thought about having a more intentional mission mindset in my way of thinking. And it's, you know, and that is that the manifestation of my future is entirely upon my shoulders, right? So the whole self-help, new age, all those guys from the 20s to the 40s. Man, what are some of those guys' names? Norman Vincent Peale and Manly P. Hall. Not so much Manly P. Hall, but man, it's somebody. Nightingale. Earl Nightingale, I think his name is. They talk about manifestation, right? You envision and you create the existential experience without the actual experience, which is to me just mind blowing that is a thing, that goes into my whole frustration with the physiological aspect of self-improvement and I guess how the single self can be so divided in different, different arenas. But yeah, just kind of like stream of consciousness live streaming, envisioning creating that success. What is that success? It is simply having an audience, a community that I created and that I in a sense found, so to speak, or they found me, I found them, we found each other. But so many of the the self-help guys will talk about, this isn't gonna you're never gonna get there unless you manifest this in your mind. Like, this is where I'm going, like I'm going there. And this is kind of like what I've heard Jim Carrey say that he did early on in his career. He would go up to the Hollywood Hills and lie on his back, and he would speak into the universe. I am an entertainer of, millions of people. And he spoke that, and then he created that future for himself, whatever it was that he did. He going to auditions, writing stand up. Like, he created his success, and it wasn't due to to his supplication to a god, asking God to bless the universe. I still don't have a comfortable sense of balance with praying to the universe, or asking the universe to do something. That's just so foreign to me. Why? Because I'm always and only going to be the one who's ever doing anything about it. I'm never going to see the universe do anything about it, unless I'm taking copious notes, and all of a sudden 3 months later, and I've kind of forgotten about it, someone comes along because I've chosen to go in those 3 months in that certain direction, and then I wind up at that place where that person is at that place. Those roundabout ways of the universe, anyway. Jim Carrey, I mean that, and again, that's anecdotal. It's purely anecdotal. There's no way to verify any of that, other than the fact that he's going to say, well, that's my word. You can take it or leave it, or believe it or not. But I was also thinking recently about I just continue to be amazed that I am now the complete opposite of my religious training and upbringing. My parents didn't do anything overt with my religious upbringing, except my dad, took me to church. But I don't remember much of our spiritual relationship. We never. I don't remember. I don't remember anything of a spiritual relationship with my father. But he's the reason, because of his second marriage, that I started going to church whenever I was there on the weekends with him. And so then that started my religious experience. And at the age of 8, I had a bona fide, authentic religious experience. I mean, I'm 8 years old, I'm being told by these adults who apparently love me, that they're concerned about my salvation. They're concerned about my relationship with God. And, these are the things. And I decided to believe that story. And over the next 40 years, I would just continue to morph into, evolve into, develop into the person that I am right now. The person that I was 10 years ago isn't who I am now. Get it? You know what I mean? Like, all of that stuff. Like, I was just thinking about checking the fire, so give me a second. But I just keep thinking about how to evangelize, de-evangelize people. You know, there's so many like I'm continually challenged, and I guess challenged in one aspect and then challenged in another. But I think about this a lot, and then I'm challenged to try to, you know, create some kind of media or medium for that concept. But I would love to see, you know, this is just like science fiction or fantasy. Like we just open up to a scene of just, you know, pure beauty, just nature. Um, we have a somewhat sophisticated tribe, and we don't know, as an audience, we don't know anything about these people. Like this is the movie. You know, it would almost be like Slacker, uh, by Richard Linklater. You know, just this non-linear observation of existence. So we open in this movie, we open in this whatever it is, this series, you know. I mean, I would love to see it be like a Little House on the Prairie, right? You have this Little House on the Prairie. Um, oh, Little House on the Prairie, where art thou? Like there, like that show does that show exist anymore in terms of an updated version? Like we've seen everything from Friends to Seinfeld to Two and a Half Men to Life with Bonnie. You know, we've seen all of that. Like surely. Anyway, I think this is a good idea. Um, but how would you? What would you do as an observer? Right, you're the voyeur. You don't know these people's language. Like, do we have subtitles, or do we just let existence like, you know, at what stage are we in the development of linguistics? You know, how much more past uh, oh you know, or like you know what I'm saying, like you could go back in time and go to a prehistoric Neanderthal who can't speak, right? You know, you have millions of years before you're ever going to hear. Like that's like putting 100 uh blind monkeys in a room with typewriters and paper, and then they come up with the Webster's dictionary. Like it's never going to happen. It's freaking never going to happen. So we go simply to a culture. We don't even know what year it is per se. It could be the 1800s. Typically, we don't think of people, you know, walking around with just the bare essentials, if that, you know, I mean, like what kind of society are we going to depict? They could be completely naked, you know, just completely um, utilitarian. You know what I mean? There's nothing sexual overtly about um, the natural exposure to, you know, but you'd have to be in an environment. I would honestly imagine that the tropical tribes, I don't know why they would wear clothes. I mean, whatever. So we come into this this culture, we don't know anything about their spiritual beliefs, their religious beliefs, or their societal belief. What kind of, is there a structure to their existence? You know, because I don't imagine that it would be too difficult to create a series like this in this day and age. There are so many diverse uh, viewing preferences that this one would surely have some resonance with an audience. But or you just go back in time and just have it all be in English, you know? But it becomes a story about humanity's existence. The questions of who are we? Where did we come from? Like, I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I know my mom, and I can remember what I think is Magnolia Street in Oxnard, California. 6 years and youngerish. But that's all I know. Like, I don't know where I came. I don't know where I'm. What, like, you know. So, how would you find out about who you were if you were the very first people in existence? Because we don't have a literal account, right? That I can think of. Show me a literal account written by an ancient culture of the beginning of the universe, the world, civilization. Show that story to me. I would venture to guess the most common response would be Genesis, would be the Old Testament of the Bible. But that depends on the the nature of the literature being literal. So the story of the Bible is too, I don't know how to say it. There's too many details that are so philosophically addressed that it's just ridiculously absurd. On the side of the fence that I'm on now, it's ridiculously absurd that I ever believed this story. But we're told that it's literal. So God created Adam and Eve. How old were they? Could they speak right away? I mean, were they just, oh, I turned on. I don't have to learn how to, like, they didn't have, like the Bible doesn't have that story. That's not in this. Well, but surely it must have it. Some and then you have Cain and Abel, farmer, shepherd. Anyway, one culture's story. Like, imagine being a mature intelligence or a mature awareness in the body of a 6-year-old. You're going to grow up as a 6-year-old, but you're going to have the intelligence of an adult who can say to the parent or the teacher, excuse me, who told you that? Who told you what you're telling me right now? Who told you that? Because I don't see that. So how do I know that? Oh, it happened a long, long time ago. Oh, so you weren't there either. Oh, you know? Like I'm only one blip on the way back now. You know, farthest I got back in middle school when I was 12 or 13 was, I think, probably the middle of the 19th century ish, around to the Civil War, maybe a little bit before that. I don't think it went back farther. Anyway, you know, I did a shallow dive on my ancestry, but I still don't know like where it all started. We don't have a story like that. You know, the United States doesn't have a unified spiritual, cultural, nationalistic expression. You know, if you think about most ancient civilizations and cultures, they were tribal, right? They were small. To me, that just seems reasonable, logical, sensible. But you would want to keep it as simple as possible. Have no idea where I was going with that. Well, it's been 20 minutes and no one showed up. So I'm going to jump off here. I might come back on. I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know, it would be nice to have seen anyone populate this, but I don't know. All right. So if perchance in the future, having watched this in the past, you made it to this point, because you can't watch it anymore live. You're not here. I can see that the number is 0. No one's watching. So you have to have made it here after the live stream was made public. Please make sure you hit the like, smash that Fonzarelli, subscribe. I was going to see if there was a number. There's not. See if there's something here. Pop out dashboard. Right? Subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know how you found the channel, and then share the content, right? If you made it this far listening to the sultry sound of my voice, thanks so much. I've been your host, Travel Mateus. Until next time. Yeah, my stream better end.